humans. So, guess what I'm not doing? I'm not writing. It's November, which you might know is the month of National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo. And instead of writing, I have elected to trim my plants. I'm actually not doing too bad. I had two things planned for this month that were writing based. I wanted to get through a manuscript for one of my books that was just not good. I just wanted to get through it, pick out the good stuff, and then just toss it. And I finished that, finally. While I was working on it, I had it printed. Every time I go through a page, I just ball it up, chuck it in the floor, and I wasn't going to let myself get rid of the pile until after I'd finished the whole thing, because it bugged me to death having just a giant pile of paper in the floor. So while I was doing that, I'm going to try to put a picture in somewhere. But basically, my dog, not this one, the other one, Pepper, she decided that the pile of recycled paper was the #1 most comfy spot to lay in the house. So she just spent like maybe an hour just laying there. She slept there one night too. It was really funny. And then the other thing I have planned is I'm going to finish typing up another novel that I already have written out, like handwritten. So I'm going to finish typing that with any luck. But not right now, because right now I'm trimming my plants. We're going to come back to this one because that one's obnoxious. It was my first time voting this November. I was really anxious because, well, first time doing anything is nerve-wracking. Polling place is at the middle school I went to. So while we were there, saw just a bunch of old teachers, which is always wonderful, especially when middle school was not the highlight of your educational career. I was not a good student then. I'm not a good student now, but it was way worse back then. So I literally spent the entire time I was there just keeping my head low and avoiding looking anyone in the eye, and then just watching the people ahead of me in line, what they were doing, so that I had like any kind of clue what was going on whenever I got to the front. Over the past few days, we've been helping my grandma clean out her attic. She's a little bit of a hoarder. So there's just all kinds of stuff up there. The way to get in is through one of the closets. So we had to move everything out of that closet to get to the pull-down thing. And I was the first one who went up. And it was absolutely nerve-wracking because nobody's been up that ladder in a very long time. And it's not the most stable thing. It just creaked and groaned under me. And I was like, I am going to break this. I'm going to fall and break my arms. Once we were up there, there were just tons of boxes all around. So we just started passing them down into one of the bedrooms so that we can go through them. And that's what we've been doing. Going down there every day and just going through boxes. In one of the boxes, there were lots of smaller boxes and tins and things. Are you going somewhere? Okay, you gotta keep moving. Go on. So, we were going through the box of boxes, and one was like this little old, like the tins that you get mints in, but the lid was like half rusted on, and we could not, for the life of us, me and my mom, get it off. So, we just, with everything we had, tried to get this tin lid off, and it would not come off. So finally, after like 20 minutes of each of us in turn just like wrenching the lid off slowly, it finally popped off, and just human teeth scattered across the floor and hit both of us because it was a tin full of human teeth. Grandma had kept my uncle's, her son's, baby teeth and just kept them in this little tin. So yeah, that was wonderful. Just getting hit with your uncle's teeth. Another thing we found up there was just so many candles. So many candles. Like holiday candles in the shapes of like Santa Claus, rabbits, deer, all kinds of things. There were a bunch of ones shaped like ducks too. But they had like all melted together into one just cluster of candles. She likes to keep things. She doesn't like using them, because if she uses them, then she doesn't have them anymore, and she just likes having things, which I understand. There's a lot of memories attached to them for her, because they're not all hers. A lot of them are her parents and her sisters and brothers, just things that she's inherited as they've passed away. So I understand, but at the same time, she has things that aren't candles melted into a giant wax heap. We had a candle burning party. Had them all on this little metal table she has in the middle of her kitchen. We just burned them all. Giant candle bonfire. That was fun. And now I just have a giant bag of leftover wax that I'm going to make into more candles and burn it again. Because I'm not a fan of being wasteful. And that seems just like a fun thing. Christmas is coming up. Well, Thanksgiving first and then Christmas. I've told my mom that if our Christmas tree comes out before Thanksgiving, or honestly before December, that I'm rioting. I'm just not about that. Like, you have to wait until December to start. You can't start Christmas right after Halloween. You have to finish one holiday before the next starts, okay? I love Christmas as much as the next dude, but honestly. So speaking of Halloween, this year at our local theater, just this little local independent theater company, they put on a really good performance of Dracula. It was truly excellent. It was great. The only flaw in it, in my opinion, was they could have gotten a better wig for the title character. It was not good. But honestly, everything else was so spectacular that you could just kind of look past that. Just ignore the fact that that dude has basically a mop sitting on top of his head. A week after that, on the Sunday before Halloween, we went a couple towns over and saw, I forget what it's called, it's something like An Evening with Poe. And it was just a staged reading of various Poe stories. Just these 4 people up on stage, just reading them in turn and giving like a little autobiography type deal for Poe. It was really fun. We had a great time. Me and my mom both really love Poe. And Dracula, for that matter. It's an excellent book. It was like a dinner theater type deal. So we went and we sat at these really cool little tables. And while we were there, one of the dudes who put it together, he had been in the Dracula play the week before. So me and my mom went over and talked to him. Well, we didn't go over. He came over to our table. He was walking past and Mom flagged him down and asked him, "Hey, you look really familiar. Were you in Dracula this past week?" And he was like, "I was. I played Renford. It was so great." And he just went on and on. He apparently had a really great time working on that. And he had a great time putting on the Poe thing. So he was having a really excellent October. So we talked to him for like 20 minutes before the thing started, because they always have so much to tell you. If you ever go to a play, just talk to one of the actors if you can. Ask them if they have any like cast party stories. Just things that they would know that the audience wouldn't. Because he told us this one really funny story about being Renford. He's the mental patient who's one of Dracula's followers, if you don't know. So, he told us that during rehearsals, he and the girl who played Nina, they were in a scene together. And while he was in character, he leaned like out of the cell a little and sniffed her. And the actress was like, leaned back, but she was in character too. So after the scene was done, he asked her and the director, "Hey, I sniffed Nina, is that okay?" It was just really funny. He's a cool dude. I forget his name, but he's a cool dude. And he's a really talented actor. He did such a good job. He reminded me of, like, a slightly more eccentric Hannibal Lecter, if that makes sense. Like Hannibal Lecter in full serial killer mode. Just super talented. I'm on the last plant currently. So I think when I finish this plant, I'm going to go back and keep working on typing that novel. Or I might try to edit this. One or the other. I hate this plant. It's always half dead. And even when it's not half dead, it sheds these little spike things that like get embedded in your skin. You have to pick them out or they break off and itch forever. I think I'm done with this. I'm just gonna, that's that. See you soon. So everyone's trimmed and nice and on the windowsill again. Thanks.